All right, Alec, welcome to the Bone Zone. What?
That's what we're calling this?
This
That's
is
what
a
they're
fun
calling
game, I
this?
like to call it. No.
Okay.
Nothing to do with bones.
Was it we played Smash or Pass
Yeah.
that we're doing for your birthday? Happy birthday, by
Yeah.
the way.
Thank you. We're filming this on the night of my birthday. God bless. And blessed be thy name. And
I do
no,
not.
no, no.
No,
Oh,
no.
no. But so a tradition we've started doing the past couple of years is on the time closest to our birthdays, we get to each decide a video to do. And so it just so happens it'll work out to be a few weeks in a row, a little birthday extravaganza for us, recording this on my birthday. And then we're going to have a little birthday gift exchange of sorts next week. And then a week after that, it'll be Alec's birthday. And it lines up perfectly.
Yeah, it's the day of that, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And
How about that?
You know, I had a lot of fun on my birthday. We did a lot of stuff. Went to a concert, did an escape room, did mini golf. It's a lot of fun. But here,
What was the theming of the escape room, by the we'll probably, because we are going to be recording the podcast at the same time, but like just out of curiosity, what was the theming of the escape room?
it's called Mayday. It was a plane going down situation. Yeah, It was fun. We definitely want to go back there. It's it's called Escapeology in Homedale, New Jersey, I believe, or around there. It might be like a city right outside of there, but it's fun. But so for my video this week, I actually mentioned it as a little idea a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you remember or not, but I was like, oh, I'll just make this my video, just because otherwise we would probably wait several weeks before we could ever get to it. So basically it's going to be a little trip down memory lane. We're going to go through all the movies we reviewed, and we're going to look at the scores and compare them to Rotten Tomatoes scores.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
So,
I'd forgotten you'd said this. Yes, I love this idea.
So I basically decided I'll make a little game out of it. So I'm going to ask you a couple of things. First, I'm going to give you our score that we gave it. I'm going to say, do you think now, is this too high, too low, or just right, in your opinion?
Okay.
Obviously, taking into an account, it's always going to be like a little too high or a little too low, probably, because that's how the average of our two scores works. You know, I'm either a little higher, a little lower most of the time. But, and then I'm going to ask you, do you think our score is higher or lower than the Rotten Tomatoes score for it?
I love this. I love this idea.
And so it's not a one-to-one thing. Rotten Tomatoes scores aren't like this is the average score that of all the critics that have given this movie. It's basically the percentage of critics that give it a positive rating. And so anything over 60 is considered fresh. Anything over 75 with a certain amount of reviews, like 80 or more reviews, is considered certified fresh. Anything below 60 is rotten. So it'll be interesting to look back, recontextualize a little trip down memory lane, and maybe a couple of shocks in here. Some I didn't know, like that some movies were reviewed one way or another.
Okay.
Looking back,
and we're going the critics rating, right? Not the audience score. Okay.
Strictly critics. I thought about like maybe getting the audience in too, but then there's just like so many numbers.
That's a lot to juggle.
So strictly, it's Tarqaron versus the critics. How do we fall? And it's based on Tarqaron scores, which is the average of our two. Obviously, there's some where our scores are much different. Some where ours are the exact same. So, I mean, we can talk about it on a case by case basis, but I have them all compiled here.
You mentioned this idea, and I was like, I'm totally into this. We need to do that at some point. So I'm glad you kept it a surprise. We generally do that. We try to keep it a little bit of a surprise. So I remember how, I won't spoil it now, but for my video idea, I remember I was talking to you and I said I had an idea and it was so good, and then I forgot it. I remembered it again. So
I remembered it.
Yeah.
All right. And you wrote it down, so you don't forget it.
I didn't write it down, but I'm not gonna forget it now because I remembered it a while. I remembered it like maybe a few days after we talked about that. So.
All All right, so I'm just gonna go chronologically through our reviews when we did them.
Okay, all right.
2019 on. Now, it could go on pretty long, so it's up to us whether we
Yeah.
want to cut it off or we want to or we just play it out and then maybe
Yeah.
I don't know.
We can. I mean, we'll see. We'll just play
So
by
if you
ear
want-
for now. If you're feeling like maybe it's like we could maybe make more videos about it, then I could do my birthday video. I'm kidding.
Every time.
Every time I steal your idea.
Now yours is gonna be Tarqaron versus the audience score.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
But all right, so the first movie we ever reviewed, Avengers Endgame, we gave
Yes, one of the first videos on our channel.
the first video on our channel.
Yeah, yeah.
We gave it a 9.25, and obviously percentages. It's percentages on Rotten Tomatoes, so obviously you shift that decimal over. But
Like
first of all, do you think that was too high, too low, or just right?
I think that's just right. I think it's just right. I think Infinity War would still like rise above it.
Yeah.
I was looking through. I just started off my Letterboxd account, and one of the first things I did was go through all the Marvel movies. And I think I gave Infinity War 4 out of 5, maybe 4. I think I may have given it 4 out of 5, maybe 4.5. I don't remember, but it was just like a notch underneath. Infinity War obviously is 5 stars, so it's like one of those ones that's like it's very good. It's a fantastic sort of culmination and like completion of the saga that sort of I mean it's the end game, and I thought it did a really good job with all of that. I don't think it's I honestly I haven't seen it since the theaters.
Same.
So which is kind of interesting. I've rewatched like most Marvel films, I say, but that one I haven't rewatched. So I still think it holds up in my memory. It still holds up pretty highly. It's just like that. It's hard to. It's like the Return of the Jedi to the Empire Strikes Back, right? It's like it's a great conclusion, but it's like it doesn't quite reach the heights of the previous one, but it still finishes really strong. So yeah.
So yeah, you mentioned Letterboxd. Actually, I haven't updated mine in the past couple of years. I really want to now, but
Yeah.
when I first set mine up, my first thing I did was go through our like Tarqaron reviews. So it's like that was like the quickest way to get a ton of the movies I've seen in there.
I should do that too, probably. That's one thing I'll probably end up doing when I get the bug again. But yeah.
But do you think the Rotten Tomatoes is higher or lower than 92.5%?
It's really close. It's either going to be just above or just below, and I think
keep a tally. I'll keep a tally of how many you get right.
I'm gonna say it's above. I'm gonna say that it's above.
Rotten Tomatoes is higher. You're just saying.
Yeah, higher than 92%. I think it's higher than 92%. I think or 93%. It's like right around there, right around that area. I would say it's probably around like 95 if I had to take a guess. But
it is 94%. It is higher. It is certified fresh.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean you can't really complain. It's a solid, great movie, honestly. So
I don't know if we want to keep a personal count because it'll be on the video, but I don't know if we want to know how many you got right.
Maybe. Yeah, I should probably do that for a piece of paper. Aha! Here's something.
I'm gonna kind of tally like the just rights, the two. I don't know if I'll tally those or what, but I'll keep track of which ones they got just right or we think are too high or too low. All right, next up, extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile, beyond belief. That should be the sequel. Extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile, beyond belief.
Beyond belief.
Yeah, so we gave it a score of 8.
Okay.
Is that too high, too low, or just right?
Might be a little too high. I that's another one where I think I gotta watch it again. It was good. I remember enjoying the performance quite a lot.
Yeah.
Performances quite a lot.
Performance carried.
But I don't know if it's quite that. Like, it's not a movie I think about super often, other than just for the sake of that was one of our early jokes that we would often refer people to, like, go watch that review. It's like, I I would say it's maybe just a little too high. I would say. It might be more like 7.5 territory, but
Okay. And then do you think Rotten Tomatoes is higher or lower?
I think it's lower. I'm gonna take a guess and say that it's lower.
It is lower.
I guess it might be around the 60s or 50s, maybe.
It's 55%.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
thought it was
rotten,
probably
rotten movie.
Yeah, yeah. It's really interesting. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I'd. It's kind of interesting that it was that polarizing for critics. Like some really loved it and others didn't. I guess so. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a surprise to me. I guess I never really knew the critic reception of it. And I think there's something always polarizing about making a movie like this. The recent, what was it about Jeffrey Dahmer that was controversial?
That was the. Yeah, but did you saw the title of that is like the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It was like Dahmer,
Dumb or
Monster,
Dahmer? Oh.
The Jeffrey Dahmer story.
Yeah.
It was like, just pick something. Call it one thing. You have like 3 things.
But yeah, I think there's something to that, where it's, and I think people have the sentiment that like Zac Efron's performance does carry it.
Yeah.
So I think they still give credit for that.
Yeah.
What a rotten movie. Right.
Rotten.
Next up, Pokemon Detective Pikachu. We gave a 7.5. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
I think that's just right. Maybe even a little low. I feel like that's a movie when I rewatched it. I was like, this still really holds up. It's still really fun. Might be more like an 8 for me, but that's probably. I feel like that's probably what I gave it. I don't know, but I was good. I enjoyed it. Having rewatched it since, so.
Okay, but just right, you would say?
It's like just right. It's like just right.
Yeah,
maybe
within
maybe
a certain
maybe
margin of error. I feel like.
Yeah, I'd say it's just right. I'd say it's just right.
Yeah. And do you think Rotten Tomatoes is higher or lower than 75%?
That's pretty tough. I'm gonna guess that it is below that, but not by much.
It is below that. It is 68%.
Okay,
right.
That's not
fresh.
too bad. Yeah, I'm sure the audience score is very high on that one. I'm sure that's probably like a 90 something, probably. Right. Definitely like not like the biggest brain movie of all time. It's just it's a Pokemon movie and it's fun.
Yeah, I still think Detective Pikachu 7.5 is right where I would put it, because it's also similar to Extremely Wicked. It's not one I really think about often, or it's not one personally that I'm eager to watch back again. Like, it's all right. It was good.
I enjoyed my time with it. I mean, like I said, I've rewatched it. I think it's very funny, and so I would rewatch it again in a heartbeat.
Good Will Hunting. Good Will Hunting is here. We gave it a 9. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
You can say that's just right.
Just right.
Yeah.
All right. And do you think Rotten Tomatoes is higher or lower?
I'm gonna say it's higher.
Just higher.
I'm gonna guess higher.
It's 97%.
Yeah.
35 fresh.
Yeah.
Good Will Hunting is one I do think about often, and one I do like to rewatch, and I would definitely rewatch to show more people also. So that's
same. I mean, it's definitely one that, like, if you like movies, it's a movie that you need to watch, for sure. Yeah, great. It's a great film. Talking about performances, man. Performances of that are phenomenal.
Yeah, but it's crazy. I mean, it's one of the first 4 reviews we've done on the channel, and it's probably in my very top movies list, like easily top 10 for me, I think.
Yeah. So it might even considerably. We might even be too low on it. A little bit. Maybe.
I know. If I were to review
it's
it
like
now,
right
I
around
might
there.
give it a 9.5. Yeah. And yeah. All right. So far, you're 4 for 4. on higher or lower.
Pretty good. I can figure out what the critics.
That's right.
I know what I tapped into the pulse of the critics. I get them. Oh.
Oh, also worth noting, at some points on the list, obviously there are certain movies we reviewed that no one have reviewed on Rotten Tomatoes. Like I'll just name drop one: Hybrid, Alien Origin. They'll come up, but we would just say higher or lower. Do we think it was too high or too low for us personally?
Yeah.
And
there's a moth. There's a huge moth in my room right now, and I don't know how it got in. Sorry.
I understand. And there's also certain a couple movies that had a low amount of reviews. So, so I'll mention those after the fact. The ones that I noted. So it might be kind of wonky based on that. Like one that has like 6 reviews, one has like 17, one has 20.
Like dang.
But like I said earlier, you have to have 80 critic reviews to even be eligible to be like certified fresh.
Right.
All right. Next up, Toy Story 4. All right.
Okay.
We gave it an 8.5. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
I'm gonna say that's just right.
Just right.
That's just right. That's still how I feel about it, I think. What about there?
And do you think Rotten Tomatoes is higher or lower than 85%?
I know this almost for a fact. It's higher.
It is higher. How much do you think it is?
It's like 96, I think. 95, 96. It's way up there.
It's 97%, yes.
Yeah. No, I knew that it is a critical darling. All the Toy Story movies are beloved. Critics eat Toy Story for breakfast. Even if the movie's not quite as good as the other ones, they love it. They love
the original Toy Story at 100%.
Yeah. I mean, as it deserves. I can't imagine a single person having like any negative thoughts about the first Toy Story. Really, like anyone, like everyone I've talked to would probably, like every friend that I know, every family member I have would have a positive, thinks positively about Toy Story.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for
sure. Toy Story 4, is an interesting one.
Yeah.
I feel like we gave it an 8.5. I feel like I still kind of talk about it a little negatively, but even though I gave it like an 8 or something. But
it's one of those things where it's like because I rewatched it because we were going through all our Pixar films, and it's like it's still a movie. It was a movie that I was thinking, I don't know, maybe I don't think as much highly as it anymore because like having talked with like people who didn't like it and having watched it again, I was like, no, this movie's really good still. I mean, if I had one negative thing to say about it is that Buzz Lightyear didn't have a whole lot to do. Like the Buzz Woody dynamic was kind of like not really existent in this movie because it's more about Woody and Bo Peep, and so it's like I get that.
Yeah.
But Buzz Lightyear had almost nothing to do for the whole movie, and that was kind of sad because Buzz Lightyear's my favorite character. So. Yeah.
All right. Next up, Spider-Man: Far From Home. Not to be confused with the other homes. All right.
Yeah, the No Way Home or Homecoming.
Yeah. So it's so awkward that we never got to do a Homecoming review, so we just have Far From Home and No Way Home.
No Way Home, yeah. We could go back and do it sometime.
We gave an 8.25. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
I think it's just a little too low. This is one of those ones that, like, I've reevaluated it multiple times. There are times where I think that movie was not very good, and then there are times where I'm like, man, that movie had just so many really good interesting concepts, and I think that it did a really good job with you know what, I'm just gonna say it's just right. The one thing that elevates that movie is the Mysterio, the scene where Mysterio is playing with Spider-Man, and it's like he makes like the like Tony Stark skeleton armor where like the armor like dies away and it's like a skeleton. It's like I love that scene. That scene is so good, and like it completely elevates the movie to make it something else. And I actually really like Jake Gyllenhaal a lot as Mysterio. I thought it was just a really interesting take on that character and that idea. Right. But it's like it kind of is sort of falls in the like it came after Endgame, and it's maybe not as good as the other two, so it kind of falls in a weird sort of limbo area for me. So I'd probably stick it to just right.
Look, I think these new Star Wars movies, they're
These new Star Wars movies are whack.
yeah.
These new
Just wanted to
Spider-Man
throw that out
movies.
there.
Yeah.
But the new Spider-Man movies, it's like there's a certain quality about them. You know, you're gonna have a high quality, good experience regardless. But to say that this one's only 8.25, it's like that's still a great score for us. Like anything over 8, it's like it's great. So don't people get spoiled with their Spider-Mans. Like can't just all be 9s. Like kind of nuance. Like
you gotta have a Spider-Man 3 every once in a while, and I like that movie a lot still. So.
All right, and do you think Rotten Tomatoes is higher or lower than 82.5%?
This is really tough because this is in a limbo area too. I think it's higher, and I think only just.
It is higher. It's 90%.
Okay.
90%.
Okay. I thought it was like going to be mid 80s, but wow. Yeah. Okay. Wow. How about that?
So, but you're 6 for 6 though. You know.
I'm doing good. I got the pulse of the nation.
It's not. Should have been a different game for each one. Like the Price is Right. Like you have to stop it within 5% of the score.
It's gotta be the there's multiple pricing games that are like that. Price is Right. Yeah. Without going over.
Next up, The Lion King 2019, which you actually didn't contribute a score to, but
I still haven't seen it. So I think
me and Rusty gave it a 6.5, right? Is that too high or too low or just right?
I don't know. I'm just gonna say it's just right. Sure, we'll go with that. It's probably almost too high. I think actually, maybe compared to what some people people I know have said about it, including Rusty himself. I think it might be too high.
Yeah, I might give it a lower score retroactively. I would have, yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think Rotten Tomatoes is higher or lower than 65%?
I think it's lower.
It is lower. It's 52%. It's a rotten boy.
Yeah, because they're like, what's the point? What is the point of this movie?
Yeah. And that's just, that's still how I feel about it. And, well, it's not only just what is the point, because you can say that about any live-action remake, right? But there have been some good live-action remakes. You just, like, you're actually taking out, the heart. We talk about this a lot. You take out the heart of the movie, then you have a problem.
Yeah. Well, another thing, too, is that my argument for what's the point is that they're both animated movies.
Yeah, this is like live action.
That to me is the weirdest part. I think it's like it's not though. It's still an animated movie. It's just using a different art style.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jungle Book. You at least throw in Mowgli.
You got Mowgli. Yeah, and that works. That movie works. It's a beautiful movie.
Imagine there's like live action categories for like Oscars and stuff. It's like, in order to be qualified for a live action Oscar, you have to have at least one human boy on screen at some point. So then Disney's like has to shoehorn in like a boy in the background, the Lion King somewhere. Oh, see, live action. That was a human.
Yeah, there it is.
That was a real boy.
Well, so the Academy did make some rules to prevent like Avatar from being considered an animated movie. And I think it would probably fall in similar places for like Lion King. Wouldn't be considered an animated movie, because because of various.
Because it doesn't want to say it with its whole chest that it's an animated movie. That's why you're disqualified.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not sticking behind it. That's right.
In fact, it's like 2D It's a spit in the face of 2D animation. How dare you?
Yeah.
It was good enough as it is. All right. Next up is A Silent Voice, the movie, which we gave a 9. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
That's too low. I think I would give that movie a 10 out of 10 now.
10 out of 10?
Movie, yeah, I think that movie is wonderful. Maybe not that high. Maybe I'd give it a 9.5. But I feel like, isn't that what I gave
9.5.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So it's
the
too
thing.
low. There you go.
All right. And do you think Rotten Tomatoes is higher or lower than 90%?
This is higher?
Final answer.
I guess it's higher.
Yes, it is higher. It is
Oh,
95%.
okay. Hey, it's right with me. Hey.
But this
Well,
is
not
one
technically.
that had 37
Not technically.
reviews, so it's not
Okay, so it's
certified
not.
fresh. But
Yeah, you can't certify fresh that. Yeah. True.
yeah, so far
All
so
that,
good.
all the critics are like, I don't understand these weeb stuff. I'm not gonna go see that.
That's right. All right, next up, Joker. Joker. We gave it a 7.75. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
I'm gonna be real. Memes, I feel like have like made this movie, like improved this movie in my brain. I almost feel like it might be a little too low. It's a little bit. I might lean more towards the 8, which I think is what you gave it, if memory serves. I think I gave it a 7.5.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. I think it's maybe just a little too low.
It's just
The question I have is really, where do the critics land with this? Because this could honestly go either way for me. I don't remember. I think they were pretty positive about it. I think most of all, I mean, Joaquin Phoenix won an Oscar for it. Like, he won Best Actor for it. So I'm gonna say that the Rotten Tomatoes score is higher than a 7.75.
the Rotten Tomatoes score is lower.
Is it really?
It's 69%. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Still interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. I wonder if some critics thought, because I feel like I leaned on, like, it's maybe a little too on the nose or heavy-handed, or to the point where sometimes you don't really know, like, what the point is that's being made is trying to be, because it's almost like too heavy-handed. But that performance, though, man, you gotta give it up to that at the very least.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed that. I think highly of that movie. Even though I guess it was like, at the time the question was like, what is the message they're really trying to get out of this? And also, it's not like necessarily a movie you want to rewatch a lot. It's like, it's one of those.
Right.
But
well, there's going to be there's a sequel coming out next year, I think. So
next year.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be there too. We'll probably review it. We should.
Yeah, we should.
Anyway.
So that's your first miss on the matches there.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Huh.
It's Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope.
Okay.
We gave an 8.75. Is it too high, too low, or just right?
It's too. I would say it's too low. Again, and I know that I'm almost completely certain the critics are going to be higher than an 8 than that too. They're going to be pretty high. It's going to be like in the 90s somewhere.
It is 93%.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Certified fresh. But of course you think it would be higher because you gave it a higher score. So that's how that works.
Exactly. Well, that's not necessarily the case. I don't always gel with the critics when it comes to certain things.
No, I mean, you think it should be higher. Our score was too low. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
that's true.
Just keeping in mind that it's already averaged out from your score.
But it is. Yeah. No, but I still think that's
Next up, The Empire Strikes Back. We gave it a 9.75. Too high, too low, just right.
Just right, baby.
Yeah, not too low because you would give it a 10.
No, it's just right. It's just right.
Thank you.
That's about right. Yeah. This is tough because I almost feel like the critics rating isn't like a 97. So I guess it's under that score. I'm going to guess that it's under that score.
It is. It is under that score. It's 94%.
Okay. So just above the original.
So interesting. We can get our own critics tier list of the Star Wars movies going right now.
Yeah.
So far, that's 1% above A New Hope, right there.
Yeah.
Next up, Return of the Jedi. We gave an 8.25. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
Give it an 8.25. You said.
Hmm.
I'd say that's just right. I think I'd go back to kind of what I was saying, where I still think that's a really good score for a movie, and
Yeah.
it doesn't quite reach the heights of Empire, but it's still a solid movie. The first 40 minutes are a little like they feel like a little side plot, and they're like, and now we go back to the real stuff, where it's like, let's save Han Solo.
Yeah. Would you say the Return of the Jedi and Spider-Man: Far From Home are on the same level?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I could probably say that. Yeah, that's about right to me. Yeah.
All right. Now, do you think Rotten Tomatoes critics are higher or lower than 82.5%?
That's tough. I'm gonna say higher.
Final answer.
That's my final answer.
All right. They are higher. They are 83%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not by much.
Not by much.
Not by much.
We're right there with the critics so far. That's obviously the bottom of the original trilogy for the critics.
Yep.
And ours.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next up, we have Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which we gave a 5.75. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
That's just right, baby.
That's right.
That's just right. Just right in
It's a
there.
beautiful score.
It is. This is tough
It's
because
almost so precise.
I think the critic score is like right around there. I think it's in the 50s.
So higher
I'm
or
pretty
lower
sure
than
it's in the 50s.
57.5?
I think it's lower, but I don't think it's by much.
It is lower. It is 51%. A rotten movie.
Rotten. It's rotten to the core.
I love how they just put that stamp on it.
Yeah,
like, this
rotten.
movie just sucks.
This
like,
movie just...
confirmed. 59%,
Confirmed.
it sucks. 60%, fresh. Good.
Certified fresh. Yeah, that's good stuff. It's like, well, okay.
Next up.
Yeah, you can't be certified fresh when you're 60. So.
Next up in the series, Frozen 2.
Okay.
Right there in the middle.
Yeah.
We gave it an 8. Too high, too low, just right.
Into the Unknown. That's a movie I haven't rewatched.
Yep.
Either. I would say that's just right.
Okay.
That's just right.
The wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
Adele
on the vocals.
Dazeem. That's right. Adele Dazeem. Just nailing it.
And do you think Rotten Tomatoes critics are higher or lower than 80%?
I think they're higher. I'm going to say they're higher.
They are lower. They're
Really?
77%.
Okay. I thought it was going to be like just a little above it.
Right.
But I guess they were like, it doesn't really do a whole lot. I mean, I think most of their negatives are probably like a lot of the similar
You
stuff
can
we
make
had,
fun
where
of
it was
them.
kind of
Make fun of their 3% off.
a meandering plot. So.
That's still a certified fresh movie.
It is,
over 75%.
It is, yeah.
Not bad. That's interesting because I actually commented a while ago that I always considered like our stamp of approval to be 7.5 or higher, and it happened to be I never knew it. 75% is certified fresh.
That's kind of really interesting. Yeah, I would say that too.
Now,
again, this is an aggregate. It's like it's telling what.
Yeah, it's not like average of all scores out of 10. Yeah,
it's not. That's what Metacritic does, or.
The reason I didn't go with Metacritic is because they tend to have less of a sample size, so I thought this would be better.
They do tend to be a little pickier when it comes to that. So
give like a more concrete sense of what critics think. I think.
Yeah.
But next up, we got Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, which we gave a 4.75. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
That's just right, baby. It's just right.
And
I think these with some of these older ones are like were movies that we watched a lot, growing up. I feel like I'm pretty set in my ways when it comes to that. And I feel like you're probably the same way, at least with some of them. So, yeah.
And this is one I would still have fun watching it again. But
oh sure.
You know.
I just think the movie's kind of ass, but it's still I would rewatch of course, it's Star Wars. Of
Hmm.
course I'd rewatch it.
Now, do you think
Even if
Rotten Tomatoes critics are higher or lower than 47.5%?
I'm gonna guess higher because I remember critics liking Attack of the Clones more than the Phantom Menace.
It is higher. It's
Yeah.
65%. That's
Yeah,
65.
I remember them liking it more, and I just don't get it. I
That's a
just don't get
fresh
it at
movie,
all.
baby.
I know. I do not understand it at all because it's like the movie it is so much worse than the Phantom Menace. And maybe I don't know. Maybe that some of that is just like nostalgia for like 1999. That time was just like it was just magical for all kinds of reasons. But like,
Yeah,
man,
we did go all in on breaking down the dialogue, like how bad
it's
it is in
so
that movie.
bad. It's so bad. It's like it's irredeemably bad. I mean, the Phantom Menace has plenty of problems that we went into, but like,
I mean, it's like the anime stands are in shambles.
yeah, basically.
Anakin Padme.
The anime stance. That's the first I've heard that. Is that like a thing?
No, I just thought of that. I was like,
You just
Anakin Padme, anime.
anime,
That's
the
their ship
anime.
name. Yeah,
That's awesome. That's wonderful.
I like that.
Anyway,
Yeah. So, and then Phantom Menace just had like yippee, That's as much as that, as far as
let's
that
go
went.
R2.
Yeah.
Misa thinking
Oh,
pity hot.
yeah, that
I
was in
did have
there.
that. Yeah.
Which, like, I'm sure critics didn't even mention that.
Yeah, they're like, that's pity hot.
Hmm. Next up, we got Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, which we gave a 7.5. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
I think that's just right. I was harder on this movie than you were, but I still think I think that's just right. Because it's still a movie that I have far more positive things to say about that movie than negative, I think.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. And do you think Rotten Tomatoes critics are higher or lower than a
I
75%?
think they're lower. I I think it's in the 60s also.
They are higher.
They're higher, really.
79% certified fresh.
Really? That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's how go Revenge of the Sith. That's great. Good
Yeah.
for it. It won people over.
Absolutely.
A little engine that could. They're like, wow, George Lucas can make a decent movie still. I mean, it's not very good, but it's better than the last two.
Next up, The Force Awakens. We give it 9.
Yeah,
Is that too high, too low, or just right?
let me say that's just right. Still one of my very favorites. I love that movie.
Beautiful. We won't have anyone tell us otherwise.
I
All right.
won't. I refuse to. I love The Force Awakens.
And now, are the Rotten Tomatoes critics higher or lower than 90%?
I think they're higher slightly.
They are higher, slightly, 93%.
Yeah, it was a darling. People were like, man, Star Wars is back.
Yeah, it was the return for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're so used to
yeah.
seeing Star Wars around now, but that was like so brand new at the time. Like, never thought we'd see Star Wars again.
No,
So,
and it was just like
and then just
it was a worldwide phenomenon again, and it was kind of lovely to see.
mm,
And it all fell apart.
yeah.
It all came loose at the seams.
Next up, Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
We gave a 6.25.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's too high, too low, or just right?
I'd say that's just right.
Yeah,
I'm pretty harsh on that movie. I'm very harsh on that movie.
Yeah.
I'm harsh on that movie. I don't like that movie. For a lot of reasons. I will say, tone and visuals make up for a lot of the negatives that I feel about that movie in general, and those alone would I'd say that'd bring me up to that.
Mhm.
If I'm thinking about it, but I have a lot of problems with that movie.
Okay. Well, do you think the Rotten Tomatoes critics are higher or lower than 62.5%?
They're higher.
Yeah, definitely higher, 84%.
Yeah, they were higher. They liked it more. Yep.
Absolutely certified fresh. We should try to remember what the biggest disparity is between our score and the
That was like
critics.
20-something% there.
That is about 20%. The
Score, yeah.
we were you good?
Oh, you back? Yeah. I'm good. You're good now.
We were 25% higher on Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. So
Wow.
it was 8
That's pretty.
versus 5.5.
That's pretty nuts.
Basically.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest so far, I think. Next up, we got Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, which we also gave a 6.25. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
I must think it's too high. It's almost too nice to that movie, I think. Again, another movie that's held up very, very strongly by its visuals. And its bold ideas that it just blue balls you on. The whole movie is a giant blue balls. In terms of, like, you don't want to go full Grey Jedi, but you also don't want to make Luke a good person. And so you make it feel like he's not the same character anymore because of that. And it's no wonder Mark Hamill was like, hey, I disagree with every single writing choice you're making for this character.
Yeah.
And has gone on public record saying that many times. So, yeah.
And do you think the critics are higher or lower than 62.5%?
This is tough because I think they're right around there. It is fresh, I know that, but I don't know if it's certified fresh because this is a very polarizing Star Wars movie. I'm gonna say that it's like 61. I almost feel like I'm gonna say it's higher.
It is higher, but it is much higher.
Is it much higher?
91%.
Oh my gosh! Seriously? I'm thinking audience score. I think I'm probably thinking audience score is probably more in the 60s, 70s, or 60s. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Critics.
That makes sense. The critics ate it up. They were like, "This is the Star Wars of all time."
I remember one of them saying that.
One of them said that.
This is the Star Wars of all time.
This is the Star Wars of all time. Was what one critic
said. This is
said,
one of the Star Wars movies of all time.
That's what one of the. It's definitely a critic. 100% said that. You can quote me on that.
By the way, I stopped tallying, but on the screen you'll see how we're doing here.
Yeah.
It's hit or miss nowadays with these higher lowers. All right, next up we got Solo, a Star Wars story, which we gave a 6. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
I think that's I know you tanked this one. I think that's a little low. I don't think
I tanked it that much.
I don't think you did either.
I think we actually had the same score on this.
Yeah,
I remember
like
we
this
had
movie.
the same score, but even though you talked much highly about it, you were like, "Yeah, I'm gonna give it 6 too."
Yeah, no, because here's the thing. I like this movie a lot. It is not very good,
No,
but
it's not.
I like it. I really enjoyed this movie. I think because to me this feels more Star Wars. Solo felt like more of a Star Wars movie than either Rogue One or The Last Jedi felt like a Star Wars movie, and that's why I liked it so much.
Well,
it had the schmaltz. It had the feel. You know, you get some gambling, you get some heists, you have some hijinks, you have some fun space adventure. That's what I'm looking for with Star Wars. I don't want like grim nonsense. I like my edgy stuff, but you know, when you're going a little too hard on it in my Star Wars, I don't know if I appreciate that.
I think I came to the realization recently when doing these Fantastic Beasts movies that if you don't care about something, then I think that's a bigger detriment to like the quality of it, or like is reflective of the quality of it. And if I don't care about that movie. I don't think about that movie. I've never thought about it once.
Wow. See, I do. I think about the movie. I like it. I think it's fun. I don't do that. That's for sure.
But it's like nothing to me. I would never watch it again.
Wow. I've watched it again a couple of times. It's fun. I like it.
Like an okay movie that's not memorable to me brings it down from being just okay, and it's bad. So okay.
That's fair.
Do you say it's too high or too low or just right?
It's just right. That's about how I feel about it. I think it. This is another one that's tough because I don't think this one. I think this was like the first one that like critically didn't do all that well from like the new Wars. I'm gonna say it's higher though.
It is higher. It's 69%.
Nice. It's interesting, and that's the reason for that is because I know for a fact that the next one is going to be lower than our score because I know for a fact that this one is rotten.
Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Yes,
it is rotten.
25. Is that too high, too low, just right?
Maybe a little too high. I still have very positive things to say about this movie. It's awful. It's kind of a mess in a lot of ways. But what it was able to still somehow accomplish, despite the fact that the last movie did such a terrible job. I mean, look, I'm the first one to criticize that the somehow Palpatine returned is like one of the worst things. Well, a professional Hollywood screenwriter wrote that as a plot point.
Yeah.
And it was explained in the Fortnite DLC. In the Fortnite event. But I give them a little bit of credit because they were kind of left in a huge pickle with what to do after The Last Jedi. It's like, what do you do after that? You killed off Luke Skywalker, and then it's like, okay, well, what do you do now? We're basically back to where you started, except you have less people on your side now. And you had to scramble and make like 2 movies worth of content in one movie. And so it's like a fever dream of Technicolor and sound and moving pictures, and they still somehow made it work. I don't know how. So, props to them on that. But it's still a little too high, I think. But
all right. I almost don't want to rewatch this movie only because I don't want to ruin it for myself. I remember I was in Cloud 9 when I came out of the theater. Like, I loved that movie.
I watched it. I watched it twice in theaters, and I don't know if I ever want to watch it again either for that exact reason. Because like, I still have pretty positive feelings about that movie.
If you watch a review, I say that too. Like, man, I love this movie.
I had a great time. It was And then, do I think it's stupid that they gave Chewbacca a medal at the end? Absolutely. That was an awful, stupid moment. I hated it.
And you're saying that Rotten Tomatoes is lower?
Movie. It's 100% lower. It's rotten. It's a rotten movie, according to them. It's like in the 40s, I think, or something.
52%.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we are 30 ahead of that with our score. So that's the biggest one so far.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
Next up, Doolittle. We gave it a 2.5. The too high, too low, just right.
That's too high.
Too high.
It's too high. That's about right, I would say.
Okay, and do you think the Rotten Tomatoes critics are higher or lower than the?
Say they're lower. 25%? I'm gonna say they're lower because I think it is.
They're lower. It's 15%.
Yeah. 15% of critics are like, this movie's okay, I guess. That's a positive. Saying that's like, this movie's got some redeeming qualities, I guess.
Why don't they have like certified rotten? That's like especially bad.
Or super rotten. Yeah. I'd be like vile. It would be like garbage. That was what it would be.
Yeah, it was just very interesting trajectory for Robert Downey Jr.'s career.
Yeah.
He wanted to get out of having to play Iron Man so many times so he can go on to do such prestigious roles as like Doolittle.
But hey,
look at us now.
At least he's an Oppenheimer. Yeah, look at us now. At least he was an Oppenheimer and was amazing in that movie. So
it panned out, and if he was still playing Iron Man, it never would have happened. I'll tell you what. But name one other thing he's been doing. I couldn't do it.
I don't know if I can think of another either.
All right, next up is Thor.
Name one thing Robert Downey Jr. did. I'll wait.
Name one movie he's been in. I'll wait.
I'll wait. Tropic Thunder.
Yes, of course. Could forget that one. Thor. We give it an 8.5. Our first chance time movie.
Yep.
And do you think that's too high, too low, just right?
I'd say it's just right. I think that's just right.
It's a great movie, great fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And do you think the critics are higher or lower than 85%?
I think they're lower. I think it's in the 70s somewhere.
They're lower, 77%.
Yeah.
That's right, still certified fresh, though.
Star Wars, not 77.
Yeah.
None of the Star Wars movies were 77, were they? No. Poor John.
Oh yeah, we didn't do our full critics tier list. What did it end up being? Last Jedi is pretty high up there.
Yeah, it was.
At that 91%, that puts it in
just after the original movie, I think.
Empire Strikes Back, A New Hope, The Last Jedi, top 3, baby.
Wow.
Top 3.
That's rough. That's rough.
Oh wait, no, the Force Awakens is above it.
Yeah.
And then
Last
okay. All right. Next up is Lady and the Tramp, 2019, which we gave a 7.5. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
It's too high, but you know what? Bundling it all together, I guess you could say it's just right. No, I still think it's too high. No, it's still too high.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
And do you think the critics are higher or lower than 75%?
I think it's a fresh movie, so I'm gonna say it's lower, but I think it's still fresh if memory serves.
It is lower. It is fresh, 66%.
Yeah. See, some of these I have like looked up just out of curiosity over time.
Yeah.
No, I know this. I'm going from memory there. For
Yeah.
Some of those. So I like Rotten Tomatoes. It's good to get an idea of the pulse,
66% isn't bad for that. But
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Birds of Prey and the Emancipation Proclamation, which we gave a 7.5.
Yeah, it's a page. You want to know something, Zach?
Yeah.
If we talked about movies that I don't think about at all, this is a movie that I don't think about at all. I have a popcorn bucket of this movie that I use, and I forget that I've seen this movie.
You'll put popcorn in there and then forget that you have popcorn.
Yes, or no, I just forget that I've seen it. And I love Margot Robbie. I have a big crush on Margot Robbie. I forget that I've seen this movie. That's sad.
All that to say, is it higher or too high, too low, or just right for 7.5?
I don't remember the movie enough to say. Honestly. Well, here's the weird thing about it, right? It was because we saw this like right before COVID. I think that probably has something to do with it too.
Yeah, it hits home. It hits home especially hard.
I'm gonna say it's too. I'm gonna say it's. I mean, if I don't remember it, I mean, I guess it's just right, whatever.
Well,
but I don't remember it.
So approval, but you.
Yeah.
Do you think it's just right if you don't remember it?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's too high, just because I don't remember it. So it's like if it's not doing anything all that memorable, then I don't know. I have to watch that one again.
And do you think that the critics are higher or lower than 75%?
Yeah, you got me on this one. I have no idea. I'm gonna say lower, but I don't know.
They are higher than 78%.
Okay. Not by much.
Certified
Not by much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, Sonic the Hedgehog. It's the fastest thing alive. We give it a 6. Is it too high, too low, or just right?
I know, because I remember you gave it a 5, and I gave it a 7. I think is where we got the 6 from. I'm gonna say that it's just right.
Okay.
I like this movie a lot. To me, it's kind of like Solo. To me, it's probably not a great movie. I do think it holds up a little bit better, but like I can accept a world in which Sonic the Hedgehog gets a 6. Is like a 6. That's fine. Makes sense to me.
Okay. And do you think the critics are higher or lower than 60%?
I think they're a little higher. I think it's fresh.
Yeah,
but
I'm really asking, is it rotten or fresh?
Yeah.
Or higher?
I think it's fresh. I think it's fresh.
It is
Get tired.
63%, though, not
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah, not by much. But...
It's fresh. Next up, we have Hamilton, which we gave a 10. Do you think that's too high, too low, or just right?
Just right, baby.
Too low. Too low.
Too low. Too low. It's an 11 out of 10. Forehead.
Now, do you think the critics are higher? That's all.
They're obviously lower. I don't think they're significantly lower, though.
No, they are 98%.
Yeah.
About as close as you can get.
Yep.
Unless you're Toy Story.
I'm gonna look. I want to look at some of the negative reviews on that to be like, this is
like the 2 negative reviews.
Yeah, if there's 100 reviews, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely more than that, but
Yeah.
it feels like there's 2 in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, I want to see those bad ones.
Oh, it's just like for this movie it's just merely okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the musical. Well, here's the thing. There's one of the production kawaii VTubers is really into musicals, and she really doesn't like Hamilton. And I'm like, I was like, what is wrong with you? You're into musicals and you don't like Hamilton. What's your problem? But yeah, who does she think she is? That's what I like to consider as well. There was another like really popular one that she thought was garbage too, and I was like, wow. You're just too cool for school, aren't you? Just too cool for school.
No substance to
Basically.
it. Next up, The Devil's Advocate.
Is it just called Devil's Advocate?
It's The Devil's Advocate, baby.
The Devil's Advocate. Okay. The Devil's Advocate.
We gave it a 7. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
It's another movie that sometimes I forget that I've seen. I'm gonna say that's just right. The movie was weird. The movie was weird. It was still like overall pretty good, but like it was weird.
And do you think the critics are higher or lower than 70%?
I'm gonna say they're lower than that.
They're lower, but they're 64%. So it's fresh.
Okay.
Fresh.
Okay.
Movie.
It's still fresh. It's a fresh movie.
Next up, we got Mulan 2020.
Okay.
Right, which we gave a 7 also.
Yep.
Too high, too low, or just right?
Too high. Like Rent.
Yeah.
That's too high. I skewed that way too high.
Yeah, I would probably give it... I forget what I gave it. Because I don't think I gave it that much lower. I might have given it a 6.5 or a 6.
Yeah. I'd probably give it a 6.
But,
No.
Yeah, I would lower that. I would lower The Lion King. There's a couple I would lower. Is that are the critics higher or lower than 70%?
Uh-oh.
Nah.
Janking a little bit.
You hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Are the critics higher or lower than 70% for Mulan?
I'm gonna say they're lower. I think they're in the 6. I think it might still be fresh, but I don't remember. I'm gonna say they're lower though.
They are higher, but not by much.
What?
Not by much. 72%.
Okay. Like, what a crime against humanity is this?
72%, so not quite certified fresh, but almost.
Well, remember the critics really like the fact that just being a woman means that you have superpowers. So, which is basically the message of that movie. So, got him.
The Silence of the Lambs. We gave 9.5. Too high, too low, just right.
I'd say that's just right. That movie's great. I still think about how much I like that movie.
Yeah.
In fact, often.
It's an all-time
very
great.
Good. Yeah,
all-time
for
great.
sure.
Do you think the critics are higher or lower than 95%?
I mean, say they're lower, but I think it's in the 90s still.
They are not higher or lower. They're 95%.
It's right perfect. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
Very interesting. And of course, we followed up with Alien Origin, which we gave a 0.5.
Does this even have enough reviews? Yeah, does this even have enough reviews?
There's no reviews from critics.
This I don't blame them. This is a freaking
Do you think our score is too high, too low, or just right? 0.5.
nah. That movie is too high. I mean, I think we determined this is the movie that determined like, can we rate something a 0? I don't think we can.
No.
We probably could have argued for it, but man, I fell asleep like probably like at the end. Was the guy yelling? Wasn't there a guy yelling? That's like a fever dream to me. That movie.
Yeah.
I somehow that movie put me to sleep.
It's a sad thing, though. It's like we're kind of stuck in a position where we can't talk about anybody, talk about this with anybody else because no one else in the world has seen it. So it's like it's an experience that we share alone.
Yeah, we might be the only people in the whole world that's ever seen it.
We can't convey how truly awful it is without showing them, and it's just not even worth. Like I said, I think I watched it with my mom, and it's like it wasn't even fun. It's not like something fun to make fun of or laugh at. It's like a lot of it was like dead air, like these soldiers signaling.
It was a found footage movie too, where it was like, oh my gosh, and it didn't use that to any because found footage movies they were like, well, Paranormal Activity did it. It was great. Well, we'll just do that, and then it's like,
I also I noted. I think it was. I think it had a few hundred audience reviews, which gave it a 2%.
Okay.
So.
Wow. So it was above us slightly.
Well, yeah.
Is that right? Wouldn't that be? Yeah, I guess it would be. No, that would be under us, right? 0.5 would be like a 5%.
Yeah, because 1 would be a 10%. So
yeah.
So we're 5%. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're about right. Yeah. We're higher than the audience.
Our reading scale does not permit us to go lower. So. All right. Next up, The Princess Bride, which we gave an 8.5. Too high, too low, just right.
That's too low, man. It's too low. No, this is just right. This is right about that. I mean, I love this movie. I grew up with it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just about right.
Okay. The critics, are they higher or lower?
Don't know at all. I'm gonna say they're lower, but probably not by much.
They are higher.
They're higher. Oh, good for them.
98%.
Wow, really?
Yes.
I keep forgetting that movie is a little older. So, and I think it was reviewed very well when it came out. So,
yeah,
I'm sure contemporary reviews are all very positive about it too. Because man, what a goofy, charming movie that is.
Next up, we have The Hateful Eight. We're in our little pocket.
Cliffs of Insanity.
We're in our little pocket of reviews we did where we each got to pick a couple movies to show the other. So The Hateful Eight,
right? Just 2020, I think, is what this was.
2020, yeah.
Yeah.
So we gave The Hateful Eight a 9. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
That's just right. That's a great movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I want to watch it again, but I feel like I should have someone else watch it with me. I don't know if my girlfriend would like it or not, though.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the critics are higher or lower than 90%?
I think they're higher. I think I want to say they're higher. Higher. Let me say they're a little higher. Not by much, though.
They are lower. They're lower. They're at 75%.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. So they're right there. It's certified fresh, just on the cusp.
I'm gonna guess some critics probably didn't like that it's sort of a slow burn, or they may have been like, yeah, it's like, what's the point of it's like this weird movie? It's like a western, but then we're like, it's slow burn. It's like paced weirdly.
It's like, what's even the point? The ending. What are we here for?
I love it. What are we here for?
Right.
There's no one to root for, and it's like, yeah, okay. The movie is called The Hateful Eight, after all.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that one was quite. I mean, certified fresh, but still low in comparison.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know. I'm pretty sure like Django is definitely higher than that. I think that's in the 80s somewhere.
Hmm.
So
All right, next up, Howl's Moving Castle. We gave 7.75. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
I think that's too low. I think it's too low.
Mm-hmm.
I like that movie quite a lot. It's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that I want to. I think probably after we because we originally were going through all the Ghibli films in chronological order. We started doing that, and then we get to Grave of the Fireflies, and we're like, let's take a break on this. Yeah,
I,
kind of have to be in the right mood for that one.
I
So
would like to do more Ghibli movies
um,
on the channel too.
we should. There's one coming out either towards the end of this year or next year. So Hayao Miyazaki's probably last film now.
Hmm.
Been 10 years since this last one came out, where he retired after that. Howl's Moving Castle is a movie that he also retired after,
Mm-hmm.
and then made several movies after it. uh,
Now, do you think critics are higher or lower than 77.5%?
I think they're higher than that.
They are higher. It's 87%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would like to
Ba-da-da-bum.
get some classic like Ghibli's in here, like Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah.
Get them on the channel.
Get some Nausicaa in there.
Mm-hmm.
Castle in the Sky, baby.
Yeah, I
Man,
saw a
wow, what a
bunch I
good
haven't seen.
movie.
I had a couple on my list for the challenge we're doing on the Discord
Mm.
and get picked.
I probably would have picked some of those if I'd gotten you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Castle in the Sky is like one of the most influential, probably one of the. I don't want to go on record saying it's like one of the most influential movies ever, but it's definitely one of the most influential Japanese animated films ever. It's like that and Akira are both like hugely influential uh, in terms of like animation and just like science fiction and stuff in general. I would say Ghost in the Shell is also
Yeah.
in sort of the same league, but yeah.
All right. Next up, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Mm,
We gave it a 9. Too high, too low,
yeah.
just right.
I'd say that's probably just right. It might even be a little too low. It's really good.
Oh.
That's a movie that I think about too, as well.
Yeah,
Definitely
that's
think
always
about that
stuck with
one.
me.
Yeah.
It's always been
It's just
one of my favorites.
I say that's just right. It's a really good movie.
And are the critics higher or lower than 90%?
I guess they're ooh. I'm gonna guess they're lower,
They
but not by
are
much.
higher,
Oh!
but not by much. 92%.
Yeah, that was gonna be like an 88 or something like that.
Hmm.
So
Certified fresh. My probably like one of my favorite Jim Carrey movies. Even if it's
yeah,
like the least Jim Carrey movie,
yeah,
but it's like
that's
one of
really
those
good.
ones you either definitely know about it or it's like, oh wow, I didn't even know this movie existed. This Jim Carrey like this.
Yeah. Did you? I think I may have mentioned it I may have mentioned it during the episode. Did you ever see the? Probably talked about the Truman Show, but did you see like The Majestic? That's another Jim Carrey
Mm-mm.
movie. Where
No.
he definitely played against type on that one too. I saw that movie a couple times growing up, and I remember really enjoying it a lot. But I don't know if it was. I can't remember it being if it's any good or not. It's like Jim Carrey um he has an accident. I feel like he's like some sort of like Asian or like advertising guy or something like that, and then he like gets in a car accident, and then he's recovered, and he's mistaken for somebody else. So he loses his memory, he gets amnesia, and then he's mistaken for like a long lost war vet in this small little town in like Podunk, USA. And it's like all about it's sort of like it almost like sort of feels like Cars in some ways, where it's like he gets swept up in this whole thing, and then he's convinced that that's who he is because he looks just like the guy, and so that's like it's all about like that sort of drama that comes from that. So I
Hmm.
remember really liking it growing up. I don't know if the movie is good. And probably if I saw it again, it might suck, but I do remember liking it. Uh, when I was younger. So
Okay. Okay, nice.
yeah, yeah. That was probably it's probably like 45% on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. So who knows? But
Next up is Soul, which we gave it
yes.
8.75. Too high, too
Hmm.
low, just right.
I think that's just right. I almost might even say it's maybe a little too low. That's a movie I think about a lot too. Talking about movies I
Me
think about a
too.
lot. And I having rewatched it again, it's like that really solidified like, yes, this is like one of my favorite Pixar movies
Hmm.
for sure. Um
Yeah, I really like. I think it's a
so
beautiful movie.
yeah, I agree.
Do you think the critics are higher or lower than 87.5%?
I think they're higher. I'm gonna say they're higher because I, it's tough because I think they do appreciate the Pete Docter films quite a lot. Critics tend to. I'm gonna say that's higher, but I'm not really sure about this one.
It is higher. It's
Okay.
95%.
Wow.
Certified
Okay.
fresh.
Yeah.
Next up, The Godfather.
You did a super job.
Yeah.
We are presenting you this trophy, which you requested. um.
Next up, straight out of The Godfather. It's The
Yeah, the Godfather.
Godfather.
It's the Godfather. It's the
Which we give
Godfather.
a 10. Is that too low?
No, it's
Okay.
perfect.
It's
That movie's
perfect.
perfect. That movie's
Too
perfect.
high.
That movie is pretty perfect. It's
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Are the
I remember
critics
just
higher or
like
lower than 100%?
I mean, critics are going to be lower, unfortunately, but I don't think it's 100%. But it's going to be pretty high up there, though.
It's 97%. Yeah,
Yeah,
practically.
yeah.
Actually,
Man, what a movie! What a movie! I want to rewatch that again.
yeah,
So good.
I'm happy like Tarqaron's gotten me to watch some of these like
Yeah.
landmark big movies in cinema. You know, like this that I haven't seen, like this one, The Silence of the Lambs.
Mm,
Um, yeah, and then they stick with
yeah.
me. They stick with me.
For sure.
Godfather.
Yeah. Yeah, The Godfather.
I mean, that's a top 10, top 5 movie for me. Also, like up there with Good Will Hunting. Or they're both up there in my
Yeah.
favorite movies as well as like the best movies.
Yeah.
So, next up, The Godfather Part 2. We gave a 9. What you think?
This to me, I said this is why I want to watch them again because I remember being like thinking this movie is just as good, if not better, than the first one. But I didn't want to like. I was very conflicted because I didn't necessarily want because like we gave it a 10. We gave the other one a 10. And I had very positive feelings about the second one as much, but it was like almost. It was almost like maybe it was just because it was like we just watched them like all week to week, so it was like maybe hard to fairly judge it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say for now that's just right, but I would like to. I really want to watch this again. It's been a couple years now, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's just right to me. I always
yeah,
felt like it was just a little step down from the first one, but still excellent.
mm,
Obviously, it's like a whole different beast you're dealing with. Where
yeah,
you got Al Pacino as the head honcho, so
yeah.
there's still a lot to appreciate there. Do you think the critics are higher or lower
There's
than 90%?
there's there's more memes from part one. We'll just say that. Um, I'm gonna say they're higher. I think it's right around the first one.
They're
I think it's like a
96%.
98. Yeah, 96.
96,
Okay,
just
like
1%
just
behind it. Yeah.
behind,
Now, The Godfather Part 3, which we
yeah.
gave a 7.25. How you
Yeah,
feel?
I'd say that's just right. Yeah, it was definitely like he was still good, but it was still like it was kind of like it was really brought down by it was really brought down by
Don't you dare.
what's her name? Whatever her face
Do
is
not
called.
call her out like that.
Yeah,
Coppola,
yeah.
Mary
So
Corleone herself.
yeah,
Sophia? Yeah.
is it
I
Sofia Coppola,
don't remember.
one of the Coppola people. So
So
Yeah.
yeah, they kind of fumbled. Like
Yeah,
like
it was a
they ruined
fumble.
like the perfect two movies sitting next to each other. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and throw this one in there and just like, all right, let's.
There's quite a few memes of this one though too. I will
Mm-hmm.
say that. You know,
When I thought it was
it lives
out,
on through this. And
they pulled me back in.
yeah, yeah, it's there for sure. So,
Do you think the critics are
um,
higher or lower than 72.5%?
you can say they're higher because I think that's in the. I think it's still pretty high up there. I think it's still in like the 80s, but
Mm-hmm. They are lower.
yeah, yeah. Oh, they're lower than us.
Yeah, they're lower than us. They're
Really?
66%. Yeah,
Dang, yo. I guess they. Yeah.
it's
I
still
thought
fresh,
I could
but
swear it was. Yeah, it is still fresh, yeah. But they were like, yeah, yeah, this is a miss. Francis Ford Coppola can't make a doesn't even he can have a failure every once in a while.
next up we have The Godfather Coda, the death of Michael Corleone.
A significantly better edit of the movie,
We give an
so
8.
much better. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was like almost a full point more. It really is. It's really amazing to me how much better it
Now,
was.
do you think if you were going to show someone the Godfather movies, would you just skip part 3 and do this
Yes,
one?
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You don't think they need to
It's
know like?
it's like night and day. It's kind of amazing. Here's something though. Here is something.
Hmm.
I am extremely glad that 4K transfers of both versions exist. I'm very because I am all about the preservation of film, and I think that because 3 came out, I am very glad that that exists in the form it is.
And we
It's
got
just
your.
like how I'm glad that like Superman 2 and then the Donner cut both exist. Um, Superman 2 being the studio's sort of version, and then um, Richard Donner re-edited the film, and that was the cut that he wanted. And both those also exist in 4K, 4K transfers. I think that's good. I think that's healthy that we still have these versions of the movie that
Mhm.
exist. Um, I don't know if the same can be said about things like Blade Runner. I hope I want to say most of those are still intact too. We have like the theatrical edit, the work print version, the director's cut, and then the final cut versions of all of that movie. So, um, anyway, was this reviewed a lot? That's the thing that I'm not certain
It
of.
was reviewed. I didn't take note of the numbers, but if they have plenty of reviews, then I didn't. It wasn't worth noting. So this one had plenty.
Okay.
So higher, are they higher or lower than 80%?
That's tough. I think, well, going off of what the other one said, but it is definitely significantly better edit, and I feel like people would appreciate that. I'm gonna say it's, I'm gonna say it's lower, but I think it's improved somewhat still.
It is higher. It is
Oh,
higher.
okay, okay, okay.
86%.
86. Okay, so yeah, people were like, "Yes, this is definitely an improvement on
Yeah.
the movie." A lot of people
Yeah, and
appreciated
if
it,
it
so
was
that's good.
this, if this was part 3, we might have a nice little trilogy on our hands from the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like if it was like a 97, 96, 86, it's not too shabby. But yeah.
How you feeling? I'm feeling like that's pretty decent place to stop. Possibly that was beginning of 2021. I want
Hmm.
to say right
Do we
around there.
want
In
to stop?
2021, we have a lot of movies in 2021.
Well, here, let's
That's for
do.
dang sure.
There's 106 movies. You want to go to the halfway mark?
That works.
We got about 10 or so till we're the halfway mark.
Okay,
So
that works.
53 is what we're going to.
Yeah, it
All
works.
right. Next up, we have Raya and the Last Dragon, which we
Okay.
gave a 7.5.
Yep. I'd say that's just right. That's just
Just
about what I feel about it. Yeah.
all right.
Still, it's like it's one of those movies that like it had so much more potential. I think it's solid. It's a good kids film, but like it would have worked better as like an almost like as a mini series. as opposed to a full movie. There's just a lot of potential in that world that felt like it was underdeveloped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think that the critics are higher or lower than 75%?
That's really tough. I'm gonna say they're higher.
They are higher. It's 93%.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I mean, you think like ours is a positive review. We gave it a positive review. So you think that people would, generally speaking, more people would give it a positive review like that. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. 93% of people would like give it something on our end. But
all right, next up, wolf versus bear.
how many reviews does this have? Like 5?
No reviews.
If that?
No reviews.
No reviews. What did we give? We gave it like a 6 or something, right? Or like a 5?
5.33.
Wow. Oh yeah, because we had Rusty on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just right. The only reason I think about this movie every once in a while just to kind of laugh is just because we had fun talking about it. There was nothing there was nothing whatsoever that was that memorable about the movie itself. So
fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
Blackpink, Light Up the Sky. We give it 9.25.
Good movie.
And
I still have Rose as my she's still my profile picture on Netflix. Oh, though I got hit with the password sharing thing finally.
Yeah, you have gotten hit with that too.
They finally were like, "Hey, you're not part of your home address anymore." I was like, and of course both my house. I'm in the middle of watching Better Call Saul, so both my housemates were out of town this weekend. So I was like, and so I paid Netflix, and I may have made my profile something that I can't repeat in mixed company. Whoops. Headphones came out. Yeah. And I sent them a very strongly worded criticism of in my, because I subbed for 1 month and I immediately hit cancel. Like, reason for your cancellation, I wrote a very long string of things that were not very nice to say. So I'm like,
sure they'll take it to heart.
I'm sure they'll really take it to heart. I'm sure they're like, wow, that one guy. He named his profile "FU Netflix," and then,
hate watching Netflix.
Basically, yeah.
I mean,
it was just
take
like,
my money.
Take my money. I'm just watching Better Call Saul.
How do you feel about 9.25 for Blackpink, Light Up the Sky?
That's about right. That's how I feel about it. That's really good.
Seems a little high to
movie,
me now, actually. I gave it too high, like a 9.5. I think that's really high.
Yeah.
I have to rewatch to really think that's appropriate.
Oh, yeah, it's not. It's tough because it's like that's not like a movie that you rewatch a ton. Though I did rewatch it with my family just to be like, hey, this is Blackpink and they're really good. And so we watched it and they really enjoyed it. Yeah, it might be a little high. Yeah.
And
might be a little high.
Do you think the critics are higher or lower than 92?
You say they're lower.
They're lower. It's 88%, though there was only 17 reviews, so not a certified fresh.
So that means like one, or there was just like a couple people gave it negative reviews then.
Yeah. Next up, Shrek.
The OG.
7.5 is what we gave it.
That's about right. It may be a little low. That's about right, though. I think. OG, original Shrek.
The critics, are they higher or lower?
Higher. They're definitely higher. They're positive about that movie.
It's 88%, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It won Best Animated Picture that year.
That's right. The first.
It's the very first, yeah. Kind of wild. Beat Spirited Away, for crying out.
Jesus.
Isn't that crazy? Like, what's this weird anime shit?
Get fucked.
I like Shrek. Shrek takes a frog and he blows it up like a balloon. That made me laugh. I don't know what this.
And you play All Star.
I don't know know what this pig shit is. I don't know what's going on with that.
And
Were they transformed into pigs?
And they played Hallelujah
What the
in the
hell?
background.
They played Hallelujah
yeah.
in this movie, and I know what that is.
Fuck yeah, get fucked. Get fucked, Spirited Away.
Anyway.
But yeah, I agree with their decision. Next up is Shrek 2. We give it 8.25.
I'd say that's just right. Yeah.
That's too low for sure, but
yeah. I think I probably I think I probably averaged it out. It's too low because you gave it higher on your end, I think. But I think I would bring it up to that in my estimation. I would more positive.
Mm-hmm. And are the critics higher or lower than 82.5%?
That's really interesting. I don't know on this one. I feel like the critics are maybe a little harsher on Shrek 2, but I don't know. I don't know this one. I'm going to say it's under that.
The critics are higher.
Critics are higher. Good for them.
89%.
Wow, it edges the first one. How about that? It edges out the first one. Not edging the first one. Critics are edging
edges
Shrek
in
2
the first.
more than
All right. Shrek the Third is up next with a score of 5.5 from us.
That's about right. About right.
It's like this Godfather Part 3 of Shrek.
Yeah, it really. It really is. It really is.
Are the critics higher or lower than 55%?
I'm gonna say critics are lower than that.
The critics are lower. It's 41%. That's a rotten movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say people probably didn't really like that one. It's kind of like us. It's like, even though it's a movie you've seen more than probably anything in the world.
More than anything I've ever seen.
Yeah,
more than my own mother, I've seen this movie.
Wow.
No, not quite, but
yeah.
Shrek Forever After. We give it 8.5.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'd say that's just right. I think this movie's great.
A banger.
It's my favorite Shrek film. I think it's great. So.
And do you think the critics are higher or lower than 85%?
I think they're lower. I think they're wrong. I think more people need to just wake up, and realize that Shrek Forever After was really good. But I think more critics would be still a little bit more on the skeptical side. But I think it's still fresh, though. I think the movie is still fresh.
The movie is rotten. It's 57%.
Really?
57.
Boo! Boo, critics! Boo!
This was so surprising to me. I had no idea.
Yeah, 57. That's surprising to me too. Wow. They were just like, this franchise is dead. It's out of ideas. Meanwhile, Toy Story 3 just came out. We're gonna give that like 97%. We're all gonna give it 9s out of 10.
Well, Toy Story 3. I mean,
Toy Story 3 is like a piece of art, so it's like I get it. But,
wow, that's a travesty right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's too bad. That's really too bad.
Yeah, they're just gonna batch it in with Shrek the Third like that.
I mean, I was right that it was lower, but I didn't think it was gonna be.
Yeah.
Gonna be that.
All right, next up is Cruella. All right, gets itself in there. The 6.5 from us, including Rusty's score.
I'm trying to remember because I think. Was this the one where it was like I didn't really like it? You were kind of in the middle, and then Rusty really liked it. I think that was the way it was. If memory serves.
I mean, I didn't really like it, but it was still more in the middle. But
I'm still of the opinion that had the movie been more like the first third, it would have been. The movie would have been like certified solid snake. It would have been a classic.
I feel like it still sounds a little harsh, but because that means our scores were lower than that. I feel like 6.5 might be okay.
Yeah, I did really enjoy the first third of the movie. I thought the second third was like okay, and then I really didn't like the ending. So
yeah,
didn't think the movie included particularly well, but
I don't hate it. You know.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
It's definitely a lot more. I can appreciate it a lot more than like a Lion King or Pinocchio or all these other heartless
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah, Pinocchio, the movie with the least amount of heart that you could imagine. Yeah, you appreciate it for trying something creative with that idea and the IP, I guess. So.
Mm-hmm. And we'll probably be seeing and reviewing a Cruella 2. You know.
Yeah, at some point. Yeah.
All right. Are the critics higher or lower than a 65%?
I'm gonna say they're lower, but I don't know this.
They are higher. They're 75% certified fresh.
Wow, certified fresh. They love it.
Mm-hmm.
At least 25% of critics are on my side. They're like, movie was dookie. No.
Yeah. Next up is Puss in Boots, the original. 7.75 we gave it.
Say that's about right. Yeah, so good there.
And would you say the critics are higher or lower than 77.5%?
I think they're higher.
They are higher.
This movie's in I think it's in the 90s. I want to say that's in the 90s.
No, it's 86%, not quite.
Okay.
But
okay.
Still very good. Very good score,
Yeah.
certified fresh.
Yeah.
All right, and then we just got a few left here. Shrek the Musical had no reviews. No reviews for this.
Really?
No.
That's interesting.
Well, we gave it a 7.
Okay. Yeah. That's about right. Yeah.
I wish the critics did review it, so then I could ask you think
Yeah.
they have us beat.
You think I have this beat? Think I got you beat? Yeah.
That's
yeah.
right. We'll never forget Shrek the Musical, though.
Yeah, you can't forget it. You really can't. That's the thing, especially with that thumbnail. That's one of my favorite thumbnails. I like it. That's a good one.
Yeah. All right. Next up, In the Heights. We give it 10. Too high, too low, or just right?
Just right.
Okay.
Yeah. This movie, it's like I still think about how good we were in. Like the dream of musical movies, and then no one saw them because of COVID. It was so sad. It was like this movie was so good, and like
it deserves so much more recognition than it got. Yeah.
It really does. It really does. It
also came out early in the year, so even on like a normal year, that's not really a good time for movies either to get recognition. So it really got overlooked.
This is a movie I think I watched with my housemates, and then I went and saw it with my parents at a theater, and like everyone I've talked to that I've showed it to has just like loved it, fallen in love with the movie. It's so good. Really good.
It's a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah.
It's like Hamilton is excellent. Everybody agrees it is excellent, pretty much universally. But I can see like Hamilton. It's a little more of a thinky kind of. If you're not into like history as much, it might not do as much for you. This one is just. It's taking the same kind of writing and incorporating it into a more fun, lighthearted story. That's like not as deep, but still has some cool messages to it, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so I guess the last one we'll be doing for this video.
Did the critics? Is this
that's
the last
right.
one?
Whoops.
Yeah, it's like we didn't do the.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say. I mean, they're lower. They're definitely lower. I mean, but I still think they're pretty high on it. I'm gonna guess.
94%. 94% critics.
Yeah, critics appreciate a good movie musical. You know, they're still out there. They're still in the heights. You know, they're still.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love that movie so much, though.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna do one more for this video. We've done a lot of movie reviews, so it's just a long list.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll try to find the time to do another one sometime, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. This is great.
But the last one for tonight is Luca. Okay. I'll give Luca 7.75.
I think it's a little low. I know you're not a big fan of this movie. I know I like this movie. We've even said that in a recent video. I think in our Elemental review, we talked about it. But
Luca's mid.
I would say in terms of Pixar tiering, I would probably agree with you. I'd probably put it in the middle of the bunch, but I still really like it a lot. So
Now, do you think the critics are higher or lower than 77.5%?
I'm gonna say there are 77.5%.
Hmm.
I'm gonna say they're higher.
They are higher, 91%.
Yeah.
You know, it
Everybody loves a Pixar.
doesn't take much for these critics.
Yeah, everybody loves Pixar. You know, they love a Pixar.
Yeah,
Except unless it's The Good Dinosaur. I don't think that's very high. I think that's in the rotten category. And I think Lightyear still is positive. I don't think that one went rotten.
I think so, actually. I think I remember seeing that one. That's pretty high.
Yeah.
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 But, all right. So that was just a fun little game there.
All right.
We're up through somewhere in 2021 right now or so. Is that where we're at?
We are. Yeah, we're in the middle of 2021. I think it's in the summer because I think In the Heights came out in like July or August. So, and Luca. No, yeah, it was probably July because I think Luca came out in July as well. So I think we're right in the middle of 2021.
There's a lot of good ones to get to. A few of our movie series coming up still, and yeah.
It's just like right in the midst of like where places were starting to lift mask bans, and then it was like only a month later they all came back again.
Yeah.
It was like,
didn't think it through.
Oh boy. Yeah.
All right. Well, it was fun. It was fun taking a trip down memory lane here.
Yeah, nice to remember all the movies we saw. We had 2021. We
remember
were just
the
like
moments.
We're just movie. Remember the moments. Remember when?
Yeah, we did so many reviews that year, and
yeah.
I mean, we've done a lot. We've done a lot since,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, we've done a lot this year too.
Mm-hmm.
So, Harry Potter will do that too. Yeah. So,
yeah, that alone is such a huge chunk on here.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed this video, let us know in the comments. Leave a comment below, and if you do, we'll read it in the next episode of the Tarqaron podcast. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. What video would you recommend our viewers watch next, Alec?
Well, we're just talking about all these different movies, all these different things. Why don't you go check out our tier list of everything that we've ever reviewed?
Mm-hmm. Those are fun. Those are fun too. We do one every year annually now, so.
Yep. So you'll have to kind of see like what we update and what we kind of we do as the years go by. So
yeah.
It'll be fun to see.
We do a lot of fun looking back videos. We look back on our older reviews and things we reviewed and stuff. We like to have fun with that.
Yeah. All
right, and stay tuned for the next couple of weeks. Still some more birthday extravaganza to come.
That's right.
That's it. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit the notification bell, and then click the link in the description for our social media. Okay. All right.
All right.
Right now.